License and registration. You blew that stop sign
I
back there.
stopped completely. Why are you accusing me without proof?
Don't argue. Step out of the vehicle right now.
For what reason? You can't just invent violations.
I decide what's suspicious. You people always make this
Don't
difficult.
say you people. Get your supervisor now.
Keep your hands where I can see them. Don't move.
They're on the wheel. Your camera shows I'm calm.
Bright Georgia sun, clean sidewalks, and a quiet stretch of Oak Ridge BLVD in River Glen, the kind of suburb where everything looks curated and nothing ever happens. A silver sedan rolled to the curb right in front of a white colonial with fresh mulch and a trimmed hedge line. Behind the wheel sat a black woman in her early 50s, neat low bun, wire-frame glasses, navy blazer over a cream blouse. Seatbelt on, hands at 10 and 2. Calm in the way only someone who's had to stay calm for a living can be. A leather briefcase sat on the passenger seat, corners worn from years of court days. Her name was Judge Alana Brooks, a sitting U.S. District Judge who split her time between Atlanta's federal courthouse and a life she'd built piece by piece. She grew up in Macon in a working-class neighborhood, the daughter of a city bus mechanic and a public school librarian. She didn't inherit connections. She earned them, debate team, scholarships, top of her class at Emory Law, years in the U.S. Attorney's Office, then private practice before her federal appointment. That afternoon, she'd left court after a long hearing on a civil rights dispute involving an unlawful detention claim. Ironically, a case about what happens when a badge substitutes suspicion for proof. Her mind was still in evidence mode as she turned onto Oak Ridge BLVD, thinking about timelines, credibility, and what juries believe when the tape is clear. She noticed the cruiser behind her but didn't clock it as a threat. Patrol cars cut through River Glen all the time. The neighborhood association liked the optics, safety as a brand. Then the cruiser followed her all the way to her house. The bodycam caught the moment the officer door slammed. Officer Derek Hensley stepped into frame. White male, late 30s, close-cropped hair, mirrored sunglasses, athletic build. His posture was tight, one hand hovering near his duty belt like he'd already decided the risk profile. No greeting, no ma'am. He came in transactional and sharp, voice calibrated to control the room. License and registration, you blew that stop sign back there. Judge Brooks didn't flinch. She didn't argue like a civilian. She challenged like someone who knows how stories get manufactured. I stopped completely. Why are you accusing me without proof? Hensley's jaw set. The script in his head wasn't built for a calm refusal to accept his narrative. Don't argue, step out of the vehicle right now. For what reason? You can't just invent violations. He leaned closer, trying to use proximity as leverage. His tone dropped into that familiar lane, impatient, punitive. I decide what's suspicious. You people always make this difficult. A half-second of silence hit the mic, the kind of pause that becomes Exhibit A later. Judge Brooks kept her hands on the wheel. Don't say you people. Get your supervisor now. Across the street, a set of blinds twitched. A lawn sprinkler clicked off mid-rotation. River Glen was quiet, but it wasn't asleep. Hensley's breathing picked up. He didn't move away. He didn't de-escalate. Instead, his fingers drifted to his radio mic like he was about to upgrade a traffic stop into something else, while the camera recorded every single second. Hensley pressed his radio like it was a reset button. Dispatch, send me another unit, he said, loud enough to be heard through the open window. Possible non-compliant driver. Judge Brooks didn't move. Her hands stayed planted on the wheel, fingers relaxed, shoulders square. I'm compliant, she said, measured. I'm requesting a supervisor. State the legal basis for this stop on camera. That sentence hit a nerve. Officers were trained for yelling, pleading, panicking. They weren't trained for someone calmly forcing them to narrate their justification into the record. Hensley's voice tightened. Keep your hands where I can see them. They're on the wheel, Judge Brooks replied. Your camera shows it. He took a half step back, then forward again, stuck between backing down and doubling down. The neighborhood stayed still, quiet street, trimmed yards, yet small signs of attention started surfacing. A garage door paused halfway. A dog stopped barking. Somewhere a phone camera clicked on. Hensley tried to regain control through escalation language. If you refuse to step out, you're being detained. I'm not refusing, she said. I'm asking for a lawful reason. Those are not the same thing. He leaned in again. You ran that stop sign, that's the reason. Judge Brooks didn't argue the physics of the stop. She attacked the process. Then you can cite me. You don't get to threaten detention because you don't like my questions. Hensley's eyes flicked to the house behind the car, then to her face, then back to his radio. He pivoted fast because he needed a stronger story. Your vehicle matches a description, he said, as if he'd just remembered it. Step out. Judge Brooks' expression didn't change, but her voice sharpened a degree. Description of what? He hesitated just long enough for the bodycam mic to catch the gap. Stolen vehicle. The claim landed wrong. A silver sedan in a clean suburb, pulling into a driveway, driver calm, paperwork visible in a purse. It was the kind of justification that only works if nobody asks follow-up questions. Run the plate, Judge Brooks said, still calm. Verify it on camera. Hensley's mouth tightened. Step out and we'll do it. That's backwards, she replied. Verification comes before force. The sound of tires on asphalt cut through the air as a second patrol car turned onto Oak Ridge BLVD and rolled up behind Hensley at an angle. No siren, no theatrics, just presence. The officer who stepped out was a woman in her early 40s, medium-build, hair pulled back tight, face neutral in the way experienced cops get when they've learned emotions complicate paperwork. Her name tag read KLOWE. She walked up, eyes scanning, driver's posture, officer's stance, open window, hands, tone, then she looked at Hensley. What have we got? Lowe asked. Hensley answered quickly, defensive, trying to anchor the narrative before it could be audited. Stop sign violation. Driver got argumentative. Now she's refusing to step out. Possible stolen vehicle. Officer Lowe angled her head slightly, then leaned toward the window. Ma'am, I'm Officer Lowe. Are you okay? Judge Brooks didn't take the bait of emotion. She delivered a clean summary like testimony. I'm fine. I pulled in front of my home. He accused me of a violation without proof, used biased language, and escalated to detention threats. He now claims stolen vehicle without running the plate. I requested a supervisor. Lowe's eyes flicked back to Hensley. Did you run the plate? Hensley's jaw worked. I was about to. Lowe's voice stayed even, but the meaning was blunt. Before you said stolen, he didn't answer fast enough. Officer Lowe stepped back, thumbed her own radio, and made a decision that changed the trajectory. She requested a supervisor. And with that request, the stop crossed a line from one officer's bad call into an event the department couldn't pretend never happened. The supervisor ETA was faster than Hensley expected, and it only made him tighter. He hovered near the curb, eyes locked on the sedan like the car itself was guilty. Judge Brooks stayed exactly where she was, window open, hands visible, posture controlled. Officer Lowe shifted her position slightly, not blocking Hensley, just stabilizing the scene. Let's run the plate and clear it up, she said. I don't need coaching, Hensley snapped. You asked for backup, Lowe replied, even-toned. I'm here, she keyed her radio. Dispatch, confirm any stolen vehicle alert tied to a silver sedan on Oak Ridge. A beat. Then dispatch came back, no active bolo matching that description in River Glen. Hensley's jaw clenched. Run the plate anyway. Lowe read it clean and transmitted. The response was immediate, local registration valid, no wants, not stolen. The justification collapsed on camera. Lowe turned her head toward Hensley. It's clean. Hensley didn't apologize. He didn't pivot to a citation. He pivoted to ego. She's acting suspicious. She's refusing to cooperate. Judge Brooks answered fast, calm, but razor-edged. I'm cooperating. Asking for a lawful reason isn't suspicious. A front door opened behind the sedan. A tall man in blue scrubs stepped onto the porch, phone raised, steady, silent, recording from distance like he understood what mattered. Dr. Marcus Brooks, her husband. Hensley noticed and barked, Sir, stay back. I'm on my property, Dr. Brooks said, not moving, and I'm recording. More movement appeared in the periphery. A woman across the street in a sun hat lifted her phone. A man paused with his dog, watching. Oak Ridge BLVD wasn't loud, but it was awake now. Judge Brooks spoke to Lowe, precise and controlled. I want the name and badge number of every officer involved. Lowe hesitated a fraction, then nodded. Yes, ma'am, Hensley flared. Don't ma'am her like she runs this. Judge Brooks didn't bite emotionally. I'm not running anything. I'm requesting accountability. A black supervisor SUV rolled in without lights. The man who stepped out moved like a professional risk manager. Late 40s, clean uniform, scanning everything at once. Driver calm, primary officer heated, backup officer steady, witness filming, neighbors watching. His name tag read SGT, N. Price. What's going on? Sergeant Price asked, voice flat. Hensley rushed his version, stop sign, suspicious behavior, refusal to comply, stolen vehicle description, stacking claims like repetition could make them true. Price didn't argue, he turned to Lowe. Plate status, clean, Lowe said, no bolo. Price looked back at Hensley. Then why are we still here? Hensley tried a softer rewrite. She was being evasive. Judge Brooks cut in, still seated, still composed. I asked why I was stopped. He threatened detention without cause and used biased language. Price's eyes narrowed slightly. Biased language, Judge Brooks didn't embellish. He said, you people. That phrase landed heavier than any accusation, not because it was dramatic, because it was recorded. And now Sergeant Price had one job. Decide whether this ended as a contained mistake or escalated into a department-level crisis. Sergeant Price didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. Oak Ridge BLVD had gone quiet in that way it does when everyone is waiting to see what the authority figure chooses. He angled his body to break Hensley's line into the open window, control without drama. Officer Lowe, stay with the driver, he said, then to Hensley, walk with me. Hensley hesitated like stepping away meant losing the story. Price simply started toward the patrol car, Hensley followed. At the rear of the cruiser, Price kept his tone flat. You started with a stop sign, then you said stolen vehicle. Dispatch says no bolo, plate came back clean. Explain the escalation. Hensley's jaw clenched. She got mouthy, started demanding things. Requesting a supervisor isn't a threat, Price said, and you people on bodycam is a policy problem. It was just a phrase, Hensley muttered. It's recorded, Price replied, so it's not a debate. He paused. Do you have any lawful basis to continue detaining her? Hensley didn't answer fast. Price took that as final. We're ending the stop, Price said. Step back. You're not speaking to her again unless I'm beside you. Understood? Hensley nodded tight. Price walked back with low to the window, voice calm and professional. Ma'am, I'm Sergeant Nolan Price. Your plate and registration are clean. You are not being detained. You're free to go. Judge Brooks didn't soften. I want names and badge numbers for everyone involved, and I want confirmation the footage will be preserved. You'll get names and badge numbers, Price said. I'm documenting your request for video preservation right now. Behind them, Hensley shifted, restless, then couldn't help himself. She could have just complied, he muttered, loud enough for the mic to pick up. Judge Brooks turned her head slightly. I was compliant, you were reckless. Price shot Hensley a look that said stop digging. He handed Judge Brooks a small incident card with his name and extension written on it. If you want the complaint process, I can provide it. I'm sorry this happened. I don't want an apology, Judge Brooks said. I want accountability. As the patrol cars prepared to leave, Hensley tried a final, quiet off-ramp. We can forget this, no reason to make it bigger. Judge Brooks' voice stayed level. You made it bigger when you decided I didn't deserve basic rights. The cruisers rolled away. The neighbors lowered their phones, but the moment didn't disappear. It stayed timestamped, recorded, witnessed. Judge Brooks parked fully in her driveway, picked up her briefcase and went inside. No speech. No drama. That evening she wrote everything down, exact words, exact sequence, exact time, because she already understood the difference. If the footage matched her notes, this wouldn't be a complaint. It would be a case. By sunrise, Judge Brooks had already turned the incident into a clean timeline, not a rant, a record. Timestamp, sequence, exact phrases, who said what when the story shifted from stop sign to stolen vehicle. And the moment you people hit the audio. She typed it like she was building a case file, because she was. Dr. Marcus Brooks pulled the neighbor videos off shared links and saved originals in 2 places. No editing, no filters, just raw files with metadata intact. In their world, clean chain of custody wasn't a phrase, it was survival. Before lunch, Judge Brooks made the first strategic call: preserve the evidence before anyone could lose it. She contacted civil rights attorney Monica HSU, a litigation operator known for one thing: making facts expensive. HSU listened to the summary, asked for the incident card, and said the quiet part out loud. This isn't about feelings, HSU told her. This is about exposure. They escalated without a lawful basis, then tried to backfill justification on camera. That's high-risk conduct. Within hours, HSU's firm sent preservation notices to River Glen PD and the city. Bodycam footage, Hensley, low price, radio traffic, CAD logs, plate check timestamps, and any supervisor communications. The letter was short, direct, and impossible to misunderstand. Destroy or alter anything and it becomes a separate problem. Inside River Glen PD, the footage hit leadership the same day. Chief Elaine Porter watched it in silence twice. She didn't need commentary, the tape was a full audit. Hensley's tone, the pivot to stolen vehicle, the you people line, the refusal to de-escalate even after the plate came back clean. It wasn't just one bad choice. It was a pattern of decision-making. Porter looped in the city attorney, Graham Patel, and risk management. Patel didn't sugarcoat. We're looking at constitutional claims and reputational fallout. If this goes public, we're in a credibility deficit on day one. Porter placed Hensley on administrative leave pending internal affairs review. Hensley reacted exactly how Porter expected, outraged, defensive, framing himself as the target. He insisted Judge Brooks played the judge card. He claimed he felt a vibe. None of it helped because the camera didn't capture vibes. It captured decisions. Then analysts pulled Hensley's stop history. The numbers weren't a smoking gun by themselves, but they were a red flag cluster. Disproportionate stops of black drivers in his patrol area, elevated search rates, and no corresponding increase in contraband fines. That's the kind of data pattern that makes lawsuits stick, because it suggests a business process problem, not a one-time mistake. HSU reviewed the first batch of disclosures and built a straightforward strategy. Prove the stop lacked objective basis, prove the escalation was retaliatory, and prove the department had risk signals on Hensley and failed to act. Judge Brooks didn't want a quiet apology. She wanted a structural fix. But she also knew leverage comes from moving correctly. By the end of the week, HSU drafted the complaint. The headline risk wasn't just a judge getting profiled outside her home. It was the city having to explain why their controls didn't catch an officer who operated like this in broad daylight on a recorded system in a neighborhood full of witnesses. And when the filing hit federal court, River Glen's routine traffic stop became an enterprise-level crisis overnight. Discovery turned River Glen's bad stop into a full operational audit. Monica HSU didn't chase drama, she chased systems. Her team subpoenaed 5 years of traffic stop data, complaint files, training logs, and the department's early warning reports. What came back was messy. The tool that was supposed to flag repeat problem officers barely ever triggered, and supervisors couldn't explain why. Depositions made it worse. One lieutenant described Hensley as high initiative. Another said he was aggressive but effective. Nobody could point to real corrective action, only generic coaching and extra training blocks that didn't change behavior. On paper, Hensley looked managed. On video, he looked unchecked. The neighbor footage was the knockout punch. 2 separate angles captured the escalation and the exact moment you people hit the air. River Glen's legal team tried to frame it as unfortunate wording. HSU framed it as motive, and the jury wouldn't need a translator. As rumors spread, local reporters started calling the city switchboard. A short clip leaked to a community page, then got reposted, cropped but clear enough to recognize the street and the tone. City Hall pulled an emergency briefing. The mayor demanded answers and the council demanded numbers. Chief Elaine Porter moved to contain damage. She ordered an immediate review of stop procedures, required supervisors to approve any escalation from a traffic stop into detention language, and demanded that officers document objective reasons in real time, no after-the-fact storytelling. It was smart, but it was late. City Attorney Graham Patel pushed hard for settlement. The insurer wanted cost certainty and a quick off-ramp before a trial turned into a referendum. The city's first offer was money and a non-admission clause. Judge Brooks rejected it. She wasn't interested in a check that bought silence. She wanted enforceable policy changes with reporting requirements. While negotiations dragged, Internal Affairs finished its report. It concluded Hensley violated multiple policies: improper escalation, failure to verify claims before threatening detention, and biased language captured on bodycam. Porter terminated him before the case reached a jury, citing conduct unbecoming and loss of public trust. Hensley's attorney tried to spin it as scapegoating, but the termination didn't erase the footage, and it didn't erase the data. River Glen now had a second problem. Residents began coming forward with their own stories, older stops, similar tone, the same pattern of suspicion without facts. By the time the pretrial conference arrived, the city understood the real risk. This wasn't just about what happened at 2:14 p.m. on 9/18/2025. It was about whether River Glen could prove it had controls, or whether the department only reacted when the wrong person got targeted. The trial didn't feel like a courtroom spectacle. It felt like an internal audit that went public. River Glen's defense team tried to frame the stop as a misunderstanding that ended without handcuffs, without injuries, without an arrest. Monica HSU kept it simple. The Constitution doesn't require bruises to prove a violation. It requires a lawful basis, and the footage showed the basis changing in real time because the original claim couldn't survive scrutiny. Jurors watched the Axon bodycam clip from 9/18/2025, 2:14 and 36 seconds on Oak Ridge BLVD more than once. They saw a calm driver with hands visible, a backup officer trying to stabilize, a supervisor shutting it down after the plate came back clean, and the primary officer still trying to push the narrative. They heard the "you people" line. They watched the pivot from stop sign to stolen vehicle to matching a description. They also saw what mattered most. The escalation wasn't driven by facts, it was driven by control. Then the data came in. HSU's experts laid out stop statistics that showed Hensley's pattern didn't match normal enforcement behavior. More stops, more searches, same hit rate. More friction, no public safety gain. The department tried to argue proactive policing. HSU called it what it looked like: biased decision-making with a department that failed to correct it. When Chief Elaine Porter testified, she tried to strike the right tone. Regret, responsibility, reform steps taken after the incident. But the timeline hurt her. Almost every reform sounded like something that should have existed before the bodycam forced the issue. The jury deliberated for just under 5 hours. Verdict: $1.32 million in total damages and fees, plus a court-enforced reform package that River Glen couldn't spin into a press release and forget. The order required measurable controls: supervisor sign-off for escalations, quarterly stop data reporting by race and outcome, mandatory policy refreshers with testing, and an independent review channel with access to raw footage, not summaries. Officer Derek Hensley's career didn't just end, it became a cautionary case study. He lost his job, his credibility, and any realistic path back into law enforcement. But the city's loss was bigger. Recruiting slowed, community cooperation dropped, and River Glen's safe suburb brand took a hit that no marketing budget could patch. Judge Brooks didn't take a victory lap. She announced a foundation funded from a portion of the award, legal support for residents who couldn't afford representation after unlawful stops. Dr. Marcus Brooks partnered with local clinics to connect victims with documentation resources, because they'd learned the hard way that the system respects paperwork more than pain. River Glen PD tried to move on, the community didn't. Because once people see how fast a routine stop can turn into a power play on camera, they don't forget. They start watching. They start recording. They start demanding receipts. Now here's the question that decides everything going forward. If you were in Judge Brooks' seat, would you have taken the city's early settlement to end the stress, or would you push it to trial to force real reform? Drop settle or trial in the comments. And if you've ever seen a stop escalate when an officer couldn't handle being questioned, hit like, because the only thing that changes systems is public pressure with evidence.